This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, good morning, guys. So,
Good morning, sir.
कोई भी एक स्टूडेंट एक टॉपिक प्रिपेयर करके आएगा और वो टॉपिक यहाँ जैसे रोटेशन में सभी की बारी आएगी और आपके टॉपिक भी आपको क्लियर होते जाएंगे। कोई डाउट्स होंगे तो वो मैं यहाँ पे क्लियर करता जाऊंगा और आपकी तैयारी होती जाएगी ईडी की स्पेसिफाइड, क्योंकि जब मैंने इंटरनल लिया आप लोगों का तो मैंने देखा कि आप लोगों ने पढ़ाई बिल्कुल भी शुरू नहीं की है और आपको इंटरनल आपको ईडी में बहुत कम चीजें जो है आ रही है। तो बेसिकली इसका एक ही रीजन सामने मुझे दिखा, वो ये था कि आप लोगों ने अभी तक पढ़ाई शुरू नहीं की है। तो ऐसे आई नो कि आप लोग पढ़ाई शुरू करेंगे भी नहीं, ठीक। तो उस पढ़ाई ताकि वो आप पढ़ाई शुरू हो जाए आपकी और आपको चीजें पता चले कि किस तरीके से आपको करनी है और सकता है। तो उस लिए आपको मैंने टॉपिक वाइज फर्स्ट यूनिट के टॉपिक वाइज मैंने कहा था करने के लिए। तो आज जो है आज कोमल को प्रिपेयर करना था टॉपिक फर्स्ट यूनिट का, जो कि वो डिलीवर करने वाली थी यहाँ पे। तो कोमल ने तो आई मेरी आवाज अब आ रही होगी शायद। तो कोमल को आज टॉपिक कवर करके आना था, बट कोमल नहीं आई है अभी। तो अभी हमारे पास सचिन और नरेंद्र है। तो मैं आप चाहूंगा कि आप लोग कोई भी ईडी का एक टॉपिक लें और उसके ऊपर यहाँ डिस्कशन शुरू करें दोनों, सो दैट आपका वो टॉपिक भी प्रिपेयर हो जाए और आप लोगों को पता भी चल जाए कि ईडी में क्या होता है। तो फर्स्ट यूनिट का कोई भी एक टॉपिक आप लोग ले सकते हैं डिस्कशन करने के लिए। नरेंद्र, सचिन, मैं आप लोगों को ही बोल रहा हूँ कि आप लोगों की प्रिपरेशन के लिए आप कोई भी एक टॉपिक उठा के उसका ग्रुप डिस्कशन करना शुरू करते हैं हम लोग, सो दैट आपका टॉपिक प्रिपेयर हो जाए। अगर आपको ये ठीक नहीं लग रहा, क्योंकि सिलेबस तो आपका ऑलमोस्ट हो चुका है सारा एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप डेवलपमेंट का, तो पेपर की तैयारी करना भी बहुत ज़रूरी है। अच्छा, लास्ट क्लास में हमने टॉपिक क्या था, फ्यूचर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इन इंडिया, जिसके ऊपर हमने एक छोटा सा सेमिनार सुना था, जो कि था फ्यूचर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इन इंडिया के ऊपर। तो अब मैं आप लोगों को टास्क दे रहा हूँ, आप लोगों को क्या करना है। सचिन जो है वो फ्यूचर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इन इंडिया के एडवांटेजेस और उसके बारे में बताएगा। सेम नरेंद्र भी फ्यूचर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इन इंडिया के बारे में बताना है आप लोगों को, ठीक है। और मैं आपको अभी सर्च करने के लिए कि फ्यूचर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इन इंडिया क्या होता है, किस तरीके से, उसके बाद हम इसको डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है। बिकॉज ये जो टॉपिक है ये पूरा डिस्कशन का टॉपिक है, फ्यूचर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इन इंडिया। और जैसे आप लोग जानते हैं कि अभी कोविड का सिचुएशन है और ये सब है, तो इस वजह से एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो है सबसे ज्यादा है, राइट। नरेंद्र और सचिन आप यहीं पे है ना, सुन पा रहे हैं मुझे? हेलो। हेलो।
Good morning, sir.
अब मेरी आवाज आ रही है? या सो कोमल हमारे बीच आई थी पर वो चली गई। अब मेरे पास एक केस है ओयो रूम्स का। ओयो के फाउंडर जो थे रितेश अग्रवाल, उनकी जो स्टार्टअप की जर्नी है हम उसके बारे में सुनते हैं और किस तरीके से उन्होंने अपनी जर्नी को स्टार्ट
का
किया।
राज क्या है? तंदूरी चिकन, वो भी हर रोज। आप मजाक कर रहे हो ना? हाँ। आपको जो दिल में I think that's the most important perspective among all the many things that can. For me, every day, the only thing that I'm most focused on is to make sure that.
ये जो है ये रितेश अग्रवाल है ओयो रूम के फाउंडर। तो इन्होंने ओयो रूम को बनाया था, तो इनकी हम जर्नी सुनते हैं क्या है।
I feel happy about the job that I'm doing. I try to make a positive an impact in people's lives. The most important is to remain calm. Because in great days, जब सब चीजें बहुत अच्छी चल रही हैं, even then making hasty decisions is bad. And on the other hand, when things are when there are troubles, it's important to also remain calm, because haste creates waste. So it's critical to enable that. So that's what has been my first focus, to be calm. When the fishermen can't go fishing to the sea, they repair their nets. So this is the time to repair our net, to make sure that if our customers are not getting a good experience in some forms, improve it, be the best for the customer when the world comes back. No matter how many times I am pushed back, or no matter how many times I fall down, I will stand up and go harder at the same aspiration than ever before. I won't give up. That's the one thing that I believe is an important skill set for entrepreneurs. Saying there will be 100 people who will want to push you down, and there will be many reasons for it. But to the extent your heart is in a good place, you have right values, and you have right intent, I think you can get back at it and get back to fighting. And I think that's the one thing that I'm focused upon.
Okay, how's it going? How's quarantine treating you?
This is of course something that you see once in a lifetime. So trying to deal with it at this point of time. Um, this is probably one of those times where the longest I have remained home, for weeks and weeks. So trying to see through this period. But one of the positive effects has been I've grown my hair longer after a very long time, as I can see yours as well.
You know the pain of the brother. You know the pain of the brother. But how's your mental space, dude? Because honestly, entrepreneurship is one of those things. Whatever stage you're at, it's one of those things that does definitely, for lack of a better word, suck the life out of you. And I think that's the one thing that I every entrepreneur out there, that you have to take that break every 3 to 6 months just to recharge, so that your creativity is recharged, so that your motivation is recharged. What's your mental space like right now?
Periods there is no choice but to be recharged. Look, these are really tough times for startups, entrepreneurs out there, especially the ones who are in the stage of building up their companies. I think to begin with, this is the time to also be responsible and take responsibility, take charge. I think the first thing that you need to do is to understand what is your vision, what is your mission, countries, and they all want a safe place. Our hotel owners are fighting it out on the front lines by serving frontliners, hospitals, so making sure that they are safe, making sure that our employees, even though these are tough times of furloughs, how do we make sure that they keep getting enough amount of income to see through their lives? They have Medicare benefits. So trying to focus on monitoring Jahane for everybody around us and being responsible in every way possible.
When you were starting out your journey, did you think that things would grow out this way? I'm not talking about COVID-19. We'll talk about that. But I'm talking about your life. Did you ever think that things will go so well? You're like 26, 27.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think when I started.
What did you think you'd be doing at 27? And what are you doing now?
So look, I grew up in the southern half of Odisha, in the Odisha-Andhra Pradesh border, where my parents' aspiration was long-term. If I worked for a good IT company, was an assistant system engineer there, I would have done really well in my life. So I think there, of course, I've had the good opportunity to do a lot more. So I had no expectations that I would get anywhere close. And that's the one thing I tell everybody, saying that आपको जो दिल में लगता है, if you really want to do something without caring about the outcome, I think that's the most important perspective among all the many things that can be done at this point of time. So my singular focus for the last 6 to 7 years has been that when I started this business, I saw that Saaf Suthra Kamra at the right price, at the right location was impossible to get. And my aspiration was how do I ensure that we get good quality of spaces for consumers? And in the last 5 to 6 years, we've gotten so much love from consumers, partners, employees, and just the people of this country. I'm seeing messages as it goes. I think just the number of people that have given us love. I always say before 94, 93 sort of time periods, the only good choice was to work in government companies or to potentially go somewhere international in the US or Europe to potentially consider opportunities. In this generation, for the first time, there is somebody who's young, has a dream, and wants to make a difference. People are willing to give them opportunities. People are willing to let them make mistakes and let them create a great impact in the years to come. So no, I had no expectation, but I'm truly very thankful and grateful for the opportunity that I've gotten so far.
Beautiful. Do you, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're aware of the fact that you're the poster boy for Oyo. You're a big aspect of Oyo's branding in general. So I'm not talking about Ritesh, the entrepreneur. I'm just talking about Ritesh, the guy, the man. Do you feel this level of pressure, one, for being the face, and two, for being the face of inspiration for like a whole generation? Because a lot of young kids who want to take up entrepreneurship study you, they study your mistakes, they study what you've done correctly. So what does that feel like at night when you're going to sleep? Do you feel any amount of pressure? Do you feel any amount of, I don't know, man, like any kind of negative emotion?
आपके इस फिट रहने का राज क्या है?
तंदूरी चिकन, वो भी हर रोज।
आप मजाक कर रहे हो ना?
हाँ, हर दिन नॉनवेज मुश्किल है ना, लेकिन प्रोटीन तो मजाक नहीं है। जितने किलो के आप हैं, बॉडी को चाहिए उतने ग्राम प्रोटीन हर रोज। इसलिए हॉर्लिक्स प्रोटीन प्लस ये दिन के 30% तक की प्रोटीन की जरूरत को पूरा करे। बनाओ प्रोटीन का रूटीन।
So look, I think to begin with, I'll answer these in three different parts. The first one is I don't think of life as being any different from what I was as a 19-year-old wanting and all of them actually proposed that they would support this. That kind of love is unprecedented and criticism. But I have used those criticism always with a positive perspective to learn. मुझे लगता है कि if you get 100 things of love, if you don't get 4 flack, then maybe that love is not worth it. So I take all of those criticisms very constructively. उससे सीखने की कोशिश करते हैं. I try to do better every day and very focused in that direction.
What are you working towards? What's your end goal in life? At 50, what's your end goal?
Look, I think for me, every day, the only thing that I'm most focused on is to make sure that I feel happy about the job that I'm doing. I try to make a positive difference. And most importantly, that positive difference should make an impact in people's lives. I'm seeing, various messages in the comments like that of people saying, I use Oyo for X, I use Oyo for Y, somebody saying that I don't like Oyo for X. And I think all of those are incredible because we are able to, in this few years, been able to make an impact to millions of people across the world. Last year alone, 41 million लोगों ने ओयो को use किया across the world. I think for me, that's the one thing that matters the most beyond anything else. So at 50, if I'm happy about the job I'm doing, I will keep doing this. I have no qualms. I have no aspirations to make to change.
So we have to kind of address the elephant in the room here. A lot of people are wondering about the COVID-19 situation, how it affected Oyo. I know that you guys kind of spotted it before the wave actually took over the whole world. So could you just like run us through what happened in your head when you realized, oh shit, this is happening? And at the same time, obviously the hospitality industry would get affected in a big way. So as the guy who started out this whole journey, what was going on in your head? And normal people, I feel a normal human, an aam aadmi would have probably panicked. I do believe that entrepreneurship kind of grinds your brain into having a higher level of mental fitness. So keeping that as an aspect, like what went on in your head when this whole situation was going on?
Sure. Look, I think first off, nobody in the world could have predicted that something like this would happen in our country, at least at this period of time, and the world at large, because the size of impact that this is having to the world, that only the World War II is anywhere close to what this situation is like. So, first off, I didn't know. I don't think anybody else knew about what was coming. We saw this for the first time in China, where we saw that there was a massive impact. And the whole, like a lot of provinces shut down and so on. And initially, we actually felt that this was going to be a China-only effect, and all the rest of the businesses were doing okay. But very soon, in a month or two, around early part of March, we saw that there was a massive impact happening in every part of the world, where this was affecting individuals and human beings on a daily basis. For Oyo, which is a travel and hospitality linked company, we were literally in the middle of the crisis. We were not even on the corners of the crisis, because with issues like the ones that are today, I think maybe the same city and the same state customers will continue to come to us, but the people who are traveling from one city to another, people are not going to be excited about getting on a plane when you know that there is such large amount of infections that are going on. So even before the lockdown, a lot of Indian airports had gotten like half empty. So our immediate response was making sure to reduce any expenses that we can reduce. So, for example, we reduced our travel of employees, including myself. We reduced marketing expenses, capex, and so on. We looked at safety and security. We shared that whatever can be done to be ensuring great safety and security for our partners. So we sent, hundreds of thousands of masks to our hotels, sanitization liquids, consumer safety ecosystems, and so on. And then, unfortunately, very recently, we had to also, have some of our employees go on furloughs. But when that happened, we tried to ensure that we can bring back, and I'm committed to making sure that we can bring back as many of our team members as possible. But beyond that, every team member gets 100% healthcare, Medicare, their school children fees, and a lot of other things to ensure that our employees can see through these tough times. None of us can relate with how tough this situation is going to be, but for us, it's important to lead by example. So I and all our key leaders have almost taken 100% or 50% pay cuts to ensure that we are the first ones who are hurt before anybody else are.
But from a leadership perspective, what were your big learnings of this phase? Again, on a personal level, I'm not talking about the business side of things. On a personal level, what did you figure?
So सबसे पहले it's important to remember that there is so much going on across the world that it is very easy to be bogged down. बड़ी मुश्किल है. Every day you'll wake up and get lots of SOS messages saying this is a problem, that's a problem, and so on. The most important is to remain calm, because in great days, जब सब चीजें बहुत अच्छी चल रही हैं, even then making hasty decisions is bad. And on the other hand, when things are when there are troubles, it's important to also remain calm, because haste creates waste. So it's critical to enable that. So that's what has been my first focus, to be calm. Second, to be highly engaged, because it's very easy to get fatigued. When you're at home and you're seeing so many of negative news. For Oyo team members, Oyo's owners, and your customers, it's important that for all of them, there is some way of engagement. So we've tried every way of making sure that we can find ways of engagement with not just our employees, with them as well. The third thing that I've learned is in these times, not only do people come together, people have a sense of serving the society. So a lot of OYO employees across India and across the world came together to also serve the society. For example, we recently contributed to various funds, and a lot of people think that OYO contributed to the fund. It's actually not OYO, it's actually our employees who put together contributions and said we as a group together would want to serve India and various other countries across the world. तो मुझे लगता है कि this is an opportunity for people to come together and fight, against this cause, and as our prime minister says, in it together. That's sort of what I've learned. The last thing that I've learned is this is also a great time to reflect, because in the last 2 years things were going so quickly for our company that this is the time to reflect and say what did we do right and what we did, but what did we not do right, and hear from all our stakeholders, and at the end prepare for the future. That is, when the world opens up, consumers will want touch-free check-ins. Consumers will want highly sanitized and clean experiences. How do you prepare for all of those as the world comes back?
Got it. Beautiful, bro. I feel a lot of people look at you as a good blueprint for how an entrepreneur should grow a business, especially in this country. Completely self-made guy. Lots of, I feel like you're someone who's a constant learner as well, which is kind of, it goes hand in hand with being an entrepreneur. And only because you're a constant learner, I did right and wrong. So could you take us through like the top right things super fast and then the top 3 wrong things super fast in your whole journey till now?
Yeah, that's a very tough question. I think there are 3 things that I believe we did wrong. I will start with the wrong, then go to the right. Ensure that not just the what, but the why is also communicated better. Now, coming to the part of what we did right. Before I begin that, because you talked about entrepreneurship and a lot of startups getting built, I believe this is the best time for people to build new companies. There is no better time than a crisis for companies to begin. I have read various news about people saying, don't start up now, there is a lot of risk, and so on and so forth. But it's critical to know that crisis के समय में सबसे बढ़िया companies बनती हैं. So the 3 learnings. Number 1, naivety is good. So a lot of times where you'd be told that you got to be very smart, you got to learn about everything in the business. If I knew how hard building a company is, I would have probably never done that. Number 2 is making sure don't go after industries that everybody is chasing. Nowadays, I see that people see that there are 2 or 3 industries that are exciting, and then everybody wants to go in that. Remember, the industry that nobody is looking at this point of time is the industry that's going to be very successful, but not just very successful. You can be the leader of that industry when the world comes back. My learning has been be the big fish in the small pond, not the small fish in the big pond. And third, and probably one of the things that I believe is going to help OYO survive this crisis is a great group of leaders I work with. In the history of our company, I have not lost the people who work with me team members sort of constantly get inspired by them. They have not left and they continue to stand together in these really tough times. So I believe that that's who you work with. And if you let them do what they want to do, who are smart and who know their jobs, I think they will work a path to make sure that long term they're going to.
Amazing stuff, bro. Um, what has the lockdown taught you about yourself? You, not Oyo. Keep Oyo on the side. And Ritesh, what's it taught you about yourself?
Lots of things, Ranveer. I think the first thing I have learned is video calls can really postpone lunches and dinners because if you were at office, you could always take that 10-minute break for a lunch or so on. But if you're on back-to-back video calls, it's very hard to do. The second thing is, no matter, how much you think that deliveries and so on are working and how many things you need, you can live with very little basic things around yourself. Minimalism is a good thing and it can work. And I would say the third thing is I used to feel the only way I can get my job done is making front of my customer. So nowadays I feel that that's not the only way to do things. Maybe 70% of the things can be done by means of video sessions. So these are few learnings I've had. Beyond, I think nowadays there are a lot of mosquitoes. So I'm dealing with those. I don't know if others are seeing that, but it's just amazing how much pain it is.
Generally, there are a lot of insects. I was walking home that day, a massive spider fell on my back. Like I was buying some sabzi, and this huge spider fell on my back. I was like, okay, I think we're going back to the Stone Age slowly. Nature's just like kind of bloomed again. The next, see, again, there's a lot of young entrepreneurs watching this. People who actually want to get into the entrepreneurship space going forward, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. And I feel there's always three things, okay, that entrepreneurs chase. One of three things. So either you chase money, like you want that lavish life, and there are a bunch of people out there like that. A lot of people even achieve that money and then stop. They don't care much about other stuff. The second is legacy. So say someone like Steve Jobs, made his money, but then wanted to be remembered after he died. And the third thing people chase is impact. So you're clearly not in that first category. You're a mix of the two other categories, I feel. But in saying that, I'm definitely going to ask you more about the two other categories. My question's about the first category. Like after you made it big, what do you spend on lavishly? Like for yourself, again, how do you pamper yourself in any way? Or is it that minimalism mindset through and through?
Yeah, look, I think, first off, I believe that people who chase just money, that's not sustainable because invariably you will crack in the tough times. I think COVID is a tough time. And I sort of relate it with sports. So, for example, back in the day, I didn't watch that match live, but I watched that later. Sachin Tendulkar playing in Sharjah in the middle of a crisis in the India-Pakistan match. I think those kind of tough times, unless you're fighting for impact, there is no way you're going to be able to fight those times. You're going to say that, why should I fight so hard? Let me just leave this thing so easy because both challenger. Why fight in this period? So I believe that chasing money is not the right thing for the long term. But funnily, if you don't chase money, the money comes to you. The second thing is about impact and legacy. I don't know about legacy. I think it's too early to chase legacy. I have a lot to prove and a lot to build. Honestly, I think हमें बहुत काम करना बाकी है. We haven't made it yet. But that said, I think impact is very critical because that way someday you're going to have better income, someday you're going to make a lot of losses, but you can go back home thinking consistency of impact to hai, that you're able to make such a big difference and that will motivate you every day. it's hard to relate with it. And look, when I started the company, I used to think as well, listening to other entrepreneurs saying, look, this impact thing doesn't make sense. But over time, I think you realize this very quickly in those days when you realize that running that one hotel includes 20 things that could go wrong, and you still want to do it, and you ask yourself why I want to do it. Then you realize the only thing that you care about is making sure that you can make an impact. It feels sad when you see that one story when you were not able to make that impact, and you work harder, that inspires you in a positive way to say that next time on, you don't want that to happen again, and you want to make improvements.
Amazing, beautiful stuff. Again, you spoke about Sachin, you spoke about Sharjah. So somewhere there's still that little kid inside you who draws inspiration from the people you've grown up watching. Keeping that thought in mind, I want to ask you two people from the world of business and two people outside the world of business that you draw motivation from. Actually, give me 3 or 4 people outside the world of business and 2 business idols.
Sure. Look, I think I have talked a lot of times about the idols in the business world. The leading one is actually Bill Gates. The reason I believe so is because he built a great business, but at the same time, people will remember him for ages after him because he did so good for the world. He eradicated malaria by means of various medicines that he brought in. Right now, in the period of COVID, he's building factories even before the vaccines are found, saying that once the vaccines are found, the production will be harder. I think that is just incredible for somebody to do. And a lot of people think that I say that because I believe he's been able to make a lot of income, but I believe it's more because he has been able to do such a good job for the world after building a good business as well. And along with him, he has a fantastic leader in Satya, who's the CEO of Microsoft and creating massive impact. Partly he's our fellow Indian who's done so well across the world. The second person I find who's very interesting back here in India is actually Uday Kotak. Some people might have known that Kotak was a bank which was earlier called Kotak Mahindra Bank. Business built it. So I get very inspired by him. Um, the other person I'm very inspired by, and again, I think someone who a lot of people are inspired by is our Indian Prime Minister. I think the way he grew from being, from being from this little town in Gujarat to being the most influential and impactful person in the world, I think is incredible. And for me personally and my family, he's become an inspiration since the day my parents thought that I was doing something wrong. And he came on live television and said in Startup India event that रितेश को देखकर मुझे ये लगता है कि एक चाय वाले ने होटल चेन का विचार क्यों नहीं किया. My parents felt I must be doing something right to be doing this job. One generation back, if you started a company, people said that you maybe failed in school. उसलिए आपको काम खुद का करना पड़ रहा है. In this generation, we have a leader of this country who's willing to inspire young entrepreneurs by saying that, if you're able to start a company and give job to even 5 people, you've done a good job. So I think Those would be the two inspirations, and they are those their personal stories that inspire me about each one of them.
Amazing stuff, bro. Coming back to the slightly business side of things, what's your viewpoint on business opportunities after the COVID-19 situation is done? If say someone were to take away all your rooms from you completely, and you still had the same mindset, you're starting from the ground up, what industries would you look at and say, okay, that's something I can do, that's something you should do, that's something people should do, should build things in? What would be those industries for you?
So look, I think in the new problems that are emerging are very, very interesting. Let me share some examples of those. People will go back to stores or shops. Social distancing will be key. So how do you use cameras which are able to predict what basic social distancing should remain? There's a technology opportunity in that. How do you create ability for people, paying guests, or various other kind of accommodations, which are small locations? I think there it is critical that people are able to create experiences where people can work from home. Anything that's linked to delivery, anything linked to gaming, anything that's linked to education over internet, all of those opportunities will grow dramatically. Um so consensus is anything that you use technology for will rapidly increase. Personally, if somebody were to take Oyo away from me, given a chance, I will build Oyo again, because I genuinely believe that people, humans are social beings. They will travel no matter what, and I hope to make sure that when they travel, they get good quality spaces at lowest prices in the years to come. So I would do the same thing, but I would recommend others to consider every opportunity, including hotels and travel, because nobody is looking at travel. If you consider travel, I'm confident that long term your business will also be successful.
So you're an entrepreneur, so is the guy at the Kinara store. Okay. Now, if in your shop people you start losing your customers, because of the whole COVID-19 situation, how does that entrepreneur, how does that shopkeeper's mindset change? Because that's what's happening right now with the hospitality industry in general. So when there's no one actually that's coming to touch your product, what does an entrepreneur do? Because you've spent all your life and energy building out this beautiful consumer experience, and now there's no one to use it. So what are you doing? Like, what are the team members
combination of short term and long term? One of the interesting messages I recently saw from Rajesh Sani, who runs Inner Chef, was that when the fishermen can't go fishing to the sea, they repair their nets. So this is the time to repair our net, to make sure that if our customers are not getting a good experience in some forms, improve it. Be the best for the customer when the world comes back. If we have some places in technology that we can make improvements, let's fix that. Be the best technology company we can be. And anything else around those. In the short term, try and serve people in every manner possible. So over 30 hospitals in India, we are serving the frontliners. Over 20 embassies across the world, the foreigners and people who are stranded in India, we are getting them good places to live in. So whatever basic places we can enable people, the basic reasons people can come and stay with us, we will try to serve them. But the primary focus is to repair the nets so that when the sea is calm and we go fishing, we are the best fishing boat on the sea.
I love that answer. Okay, I have two last personal questions for you. One is that something a lot of people are actually asking in the comment section, which is your whole experience of the Thiel Fellowship. And I don't just take us over it, because there's a lot of people here who don't know about it. So can you just explain it very briefly for that young kid who's like watching this somewhere who might also apply? And how did that help you in life? So introduce us to it, and then take us through your experience, take us through the outcome and what you learned from that phase.
Sure. The Thiel Fellowship is run by Peter Thiel, who's the founder of PayPal and was successful in building a great management team, who's eventually called the PayPal Mafia, who have all built billion-dollar plus companies. And of course, he was the first investor in Facebook. I got to know about Peter Thiel from a very interesting perspective. I saw Peter Thiel for the first time in the movie The Social Network when I was still in my senior high school.
Okay.
I saw him on the